As someone that has spent a lot of time in Google Workspace, I think Flow, this new way to automate what you're doing, I think is looking really powerful and really interesting in terms of capabilities. So that's kind of the big headline for me in terms of I want to leave here right now and go and start playing with that.
Hey everyone, I hope you're excited to be here at Cloud Next 2025. To my far left, I have Steve Basil
Hey,
and Martin Hawksey. How are you feeling about Cloud Next this year?
Well, we're just off the keynote, so the first keynote of the day, and I think it's really exciting to see what's coming through in terms of the pipeline, what's also been announced. As someone that has spent a lot of time in Google Workspace, I think Flow, this new way to automate what you're doing, I think is looking really powerful and really interesting in terms of capabilities. So that's kind of the big headline for me in terms of I want to leave here right now and go and start playing with that right now. So have you guys actually played around with Flow yet?
I have, yeah. I have played around with it a little bit, and it's coming along nicely.
And are you finding your own use cases for it already?
I am. I'm more interested in the extensibility of it,
Right.
being able to do custom actions and so on. So I've built a few things using custom actions that let you call into Vertex. So I can actually use all different models, anything that's in the model garden, and that actually was a whole bunch of use cases.
So I always, it looked for my eyes, it looked like a very, user-centric tool, but it sounds like there's developer opportunities in there. If you know something behind the scenes, you can do a bit more with it.
Oh, absolutely. The really cool thing is a lot of this is, will come out, as the product matures a little bit in the next few months, but you can extend it with add-ons. And if
Right.
I know you are a big AppScript user and big AppScript fan, so you can actually leverage those AppScript skills to extend workflows. And that's a space that I'm really excited to explore and see how that developer experience shapes up and how people can build things that, may not work out of the box, but are within reach.
Right. I think it's also quite interesting. So I think last year next, the idea that Workspace would connect in to third-party services more easily. Do you think that's just going to be a continual thing, that Workspace as a platform, you don't need to leave it as much, you can go and do other stuff?
Yeah, it's hard. Hard to say, but with add-ons, that's been a big focus for the past few years. Keeping people in Workspace, in context.
Yeah.
You're going to probably see more of that with agent space and more agentic capabilities. But it's changing so fast that it's hard to say what it's going to look like. But yeah,
Since you mentioned add-ons, now we have a capability to deploy your chat apps as add-ons as well. So now you don't have to write a separate app for your chat apps and another add-on to do the same thing. So I'm excited about that.
And are there particular use cases with chat apps that you're discovering? I suppose they're so open-ended, and if any problem you've got the potential to solve it with a chat app.
Yeah, so one particular area I'm really excited about with chat apps and add-ons working on the same space is once in a while I go to the drives like, hey, find me a file that has something to do with some keywords.
Right.
Right now, if I'm already in the chat space, I can ask the same app like, hey, can you find me a file that has this exact keywords? So I don't have to jump from chat app to chat to my Google Drive to do the same thing. So that's one use case I'm really excited about. Mm-hmm. Have you all tried looking into building chat apps with add-ons as well?
So I'm not add-ons, but we've got a lot of value out of AppSheet and AppSheet's integration to create chat apps or chat interfaces with AppSheet. So I think that's another avenue in terms of how you can approach this. But with AppSheet, you've got less that you can do. So you've got a very fixed palette in terms of how you can interact with your AppSheet app through a chat space. So, but we've got some really simple things internally. So all the sheer volume of Google Workspace updates that are coming out, other news from Google. We actually digest all that stuff through an AppSheet app, and then we have just a really simple chat interface to that. So everyone in the team and everyone in the company can see all these updates coming through as they're happening.
Nice. Maybe you got the update about the Gemini 2.5. How are you feeling about that?
So 2.5 has been a complete revelation in terms of its capabilities. I think particularly around code development, app script development as well in particular. So I think for us, we've been doing, with our customers, we've been doing a lot of Gemini for Workspace enablement. So just introducing that whole product to an entirely new audience. And it's, up until now, it was always quite challenging in terms of supporting people in terms of writing their own abstract code. With Gemini 2.5, the capabilities, what it can produce is quite remarkable. So as an example, last week I was working with one of our customers. We go down and we do transformation labs with the customer. And so we work with teams. We identified some problems that they've got and look at how we can actually solve those in Google Workspace. And so they were wanting to do quite a complex document merge. So they had some data, they needed to use the Google document. They had things like conditional tables that they wanted to render in the Google document. And Gemini 2.5 was able, through our prompting, to work all this out and generate a really significant amount of code that worked out of the box. So it was really impressive.
So we also have a booth today where you can add, there's a Mad Lib, you can ask to create your whole app script app. And behind the scene, it's using Gemini 2.5. What about the AI FM one, Steve? Does that?
The AI FM one, I think, is still on 2. The app script demo, we did a last minute switch as of 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I think it was, to switch to 2.5. So there was a flurry of last minute testing, but I have to say it actually performs really well. The quality of the code is surprisingly good, and I tried a whole bunch of different solutions. There's a I feel lucky button on there where it will just kind of generate a random use case, and I went through a whole bunch of them and they all just worked.
And so I've not played around that much with the 2.5 API yet, and you mentioned there you had an earlier model on that. Is it a case of just declaring a different model, or are you having to restructure your calls a bit?
In this case, yes, it literally was that easy, and we just changed the model name. I think there were a few minor tweaks to the prompt. I've been playing around with 2.5 myself for a bunch of different tasks, and personally, I found that stuff that works well in 2 translates pretty well to 2.5.
Right.
The other direction, going from 2.5 back into 2, that not so great. But that's just from my own experience and trying different prompting. But I mean, I've been impressed with both models, but 2.5 feels like such a leap forward, especially on the code generation and some of the creative writing. I've been, kind of trying to create a prompt to be my ghostwriter. And I've actually gotten surprisingly good results with 2.5 to the point where, so it almost becomes an existential crisis, seeing like my entire writing style and personality captured in a prompt. But, hey, it actually does a really good job.
Speaking about personality and, kind of adhering to our choices, the AI FM one does a pretty good job of figuring out what kind of style of podcast you like listening to. And correct me, it's built on Notebook LM, which is part of Google Workspace now. Martin, have you used Notebook LM?
Yeah. I think the real challenge having all these different tools is knowing which one to use. And I think also the underlying models get swapped out at different paces. There was a period where I was doing a lot of my creative writing in Notebook LM. So I actually found quite a good flow in terms of providing a notebook with my previous writing styles, the type of content I was looking for. And then if I was, for example, wanting to do a summary of one of Chanel's excellent developer Workspace Developer News videos, I would actually use Notebook LM, point it to the video, and say, give me a summary. And so I was doing that really happily up until, I think, 2.5 in terms of Gemini. And so I've gone back that way into the Gemini app to do that type of writing some now. So I think that's the real challenge as well for end user and developers. The pace of change is just so quick right now. And in terms of the functionality that you're getting in them, and the models as well, in terms of what you can do, in terms of code execution, providing schemas, function calling. Are those features within the Gemini APIs that you're using yourself, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been not so much a function calling, but I am using like Gemini a lot more. I mean, it's getting to the point now where, especially for code, where, a year ago I was pretty skeptical personally, and I would try things and I'd be like, that's cute, it would give okay code. Now I'm getting results, and even for like really esoteric questions that I don't expect a proper response for, I'm getting usable code that is correct and solves problems that probably would have taken me hours to figure out. And now for a weird reason, I wanted to see if I can embed a Python interpreter in AppScript. And there's a JavaScript Python interpreter somebody wrote years ago. It took me about an hour to get it working with Gemini. I didn't even know where to start, but it actually works really cool. But Vinay, you mentioned Notebook LM for AIFM. So interestingly, it is not built on Notebook LM.
It's not? Okay, I'm very surprised.
But it does recreate a lot of the same functionality, but it's all built on Vertex, standard Gemini model, and uses Cloud's text-to-speech API, which has a multi-turn mode now that's in, I believe, in preview. So yeah, it basically takes workspace data, feeds it into a prompt to act as an assistant and summarize it, feeds it into another prompt to write the script, and then takes that and then feeds it into text-to-speech, and that's what gives you the audio output. So it's just a series of prompts using APIs that are available today and models that are available today. But it recreates something that is very similar to the podcast feature in Notebook LM, just tailored for Workspace.
Yeah, because one of the surprises I had was if you do text-to-speech, most of the time it's just reading the words back to you. So it doesn't sound like a natural podcast. So yeah, I'm surprised that Vertex AI can do that. Speaking of all the other events that are happening, Martin, are you excited about any talks that you're excited to attend, breakout sessions?
I have incredibly excited to be talking with Chanel tomorrow. So Chanel has invited me on stage. So we've got a session where we're actually looking at Workspace, how users can do more with Workspace. So I'm really looking forward to that one. What about yourself? Is there anything you've got your eye on?
I have a talk tomorrow. I'm doing a Gemini Unleashed, how you can use Gemini to extend, integrate, automate your Google Workspace. So I'm excited about that. And then most of the time I'll be at the booth doing manning the AIFM booth and build with Gemini. Steve, how about you?
I am not speaking this year, but I am hosting with Martin, of course, the AppScript meetup tomorrow, which I am super excited about. This is first time that we've had meetups at Next. There's a few going on actually right behind us. But yeah, there's a few Workspace ones. There's an AppSheet meetup tomorrow, I think in the morning. There's AppScript one, which we're hosting, and then there's another focused on the admin community. So I hope they're all a success. We've chatted with a few folks in the community already and on Reddit, and a few folks are excited to be here. So yeah, we'll see some familiar faces and hopefully a bunch of new ones that we haven't met before.
I should probably save this question until the AppScript meetup, but we'd be talking about extending Gemini there. So I don't think I'd be forgiven if I didn't ask this question to you. Is there going to be a Gemini integration in AppScript, so like an advanced service where you can use
I hope so. I don't know if there are plans for it, but to give credit to you, in my own usage of Gemini in AppScript, I've been using the library that you published, and it makes it so much easier. So I actually did that for talking about flow. I mentioned doing a custom action to call into Vertex. And I took your library. I had to make a few changes so it could call third-party models.
Right.
But it was, just a couple lines of code just to.
Well, if you want to make a pull request for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, we'll do so. But no, the library is fantastic, and it made it so much easier. So thanks for building that. But yeah, I would love it if we had that as an instant service as well. Yeah.
Well, talking about that, yesterday at the GDE Summit, we had folks ask us about the same questions, like when we'll have Gemini integration with AppScript. So maybe this is something we discuss at our AppScript meetup tomorrow. It looks like we're out of time. Do you have any last minute things to say before we end?
No, I'm just curious if there's anything that you're super excited about, or anything you've seen on the expo floor that caught your eye, or any cool demos, or.
I've still yet to go and digest
Okay. Well,
the demos.
Yeah, it's a big area. It's a lot to explore.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to get my step count in.
Oh yeah, I got my step count yesterday already. So.
Yeah. And we're not even halfway through day one, so you have plenty of time to check it out, plenty of time to see what's out there. But I really appreciate you spending time with us, and I look forward to co-hosting our meetup tomorrow, and hopefully I get to check out your session as well.
Yep.
And same for you.
Yeah. With that, we'll end our session. Thank you for attending, and hope to see you around.
All right. Take care.